to start this off by saying, welcome. This is Talk Your Ears Deep Dive with your boy Nyrell, aka Motherfucker Jones. It's a little bit more of a serious tip, but it's a tip that we need to talk about and pause for y'all weird niggas outside. Today, we have two distinguished gentlemen that I've been privileged to come across in my path. Not only are they beautiful fathers, they're entrepreneurs, they have their own endeavors, from one being an amazing author to another creating and entertaining his way through all of the indie scenes. And I tell you, whether it's clothes, music, yo, stay tuned.
Indeed.
Without further ado, I just want to introduce my boy Doodoo Boy,
What's up, man?
Tom Ray,
Peace.
and today, this is the deep dive. Deep dive. And we're talking and we're talking mental health today. And if you can tell by the little intro, this is gonna be a good one. So stay tuned. Yeah, that shit missed. It just wasn't hitting right. I say yeah. Let's get it. Welcome back. And it's going to be a doozy, but with myself coming into the new year, I understood that not only finding my niche within the mental health space, but also understanding that I've been doing my community a disservice. I've wanted to do longer episodes. I've wanted to understand and restructure how to do this thing the right way, but nothing beats a blank but a try. And I felt there was nothing more important to start the year out than with mental health and a mental health focus on not only something that I'm a part of, which is the Black manosphere or whatever you call it, but also within our communities. So with the holidays being a challenging time, I just wanted to capitalize on that. So today, I want to ask you guys, how y'all doing? How you feeling? How's everything progressing in your lives? Whoever want to go first?
Go ahead, my brother.
I feel phenomenal.
Let them
Like,
know.
you know, like I know that it could always be better, and get off my ass every day to make sure it is. Like I put my efforts in, and I meet my blessings halfway. You know, so it's like I ain't praying and waiting for faith to do all the work. I'm being productive as possible every day with everything I'm doing, intentional. You know, so I feel great. I feel like, you know, it could be worse, but it could always be better also. So I'm feeling, you know, I feel privileged. Like it's an honor to be, you know, breathing and being able to still do what I want to do in life, and, you know, be a dad and, you know, all that cool stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, I feel phenomenal right now.
I love that answer. I love that answer. I love that answer. Tom, how you doing over there?
Oh man. I got a 2-part answer for you, my
Oh,
brother.
let's hear it.
All is truly well. All is truly well. I'm grateful, thankful, and honored to be here. And then the second part to that answer is I'm uncomfortable.
Ooh.
Because I'm growing, evolving, and just going to the next level in life where God has taken me. So I'm in that uncomfortable space, ready for what's next, if that makes sense.
Ooh. You definitely kind of led me to a space where I didn't expect to go initially. Yeah. But I appreciate you for being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because with these times and with the holidays, which I've noticed is very difficult, especially being a young man or a Black man in this time, whether you can't provide don't know how to provide, or your provisions are taken advantage of. Being vulnerable during this time is difficult. But I don't think as men, we understand how much strength comes from that.
Wow.
You know, because you don't need to necessarily hide when you're working on yourself. And that's the thing. Like, people feel like you have to act like you're not working on yourself in order to present your best self. But to be vulnerable and understand that, hey, going through change makes me feel uncomfortable, that's the first step.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful uncomfortability because just the evolution, man. The evolution of life and knowing that going into new chapters, man, is something fresh and new.
Right.
That God has for me, man. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's why I said it's a two-part, because all is truly well. Just grateful, man, and elated. That's been my word since the new year has dropped. Right. You feel what I'm saying? Just elated, man. You feel what I'm saying?
That's fancy too.
Elated, man, you know? Real talk.
The crazy thing is, bro, like, not only your stupendous vocabulary, but bro,
he is an author.
Yeah, he is an author. And speaking to your understanding of the verbiage and how to use it, how do you deal with, like, not only being able to find the words, but sometimes narrowing the words down to figure out how you really feel? Because sometimes, for me, I wouldn't have said uncomfortable off rip. You feel what I'm saying? Because for me, I kind of welcome change in a weird way. Because for me, I'm used to the shift of things. But also, there's an underlying current to that I don't think I've, unsurfaced. You feel what I'm saying? And for me, what I've been doing to really, like, tap in with myself, even in those times where I don't know how to be vulnerable or express my vulnerability, I ask myself a lot of questions. You know what I mean? And for me, asking myself a lot of questions has also helped me be vulnerable in different spaces. Because now that I have the answers within myself, other people asking those questions or me providing those answers necessarily doesn't come off, or doesn't come as hard. It comes off way more freely. Yo, go.
I think y'all are both
powerful way to start it.
Absolutely OD.
Crazy.
I think both of y'all are absolutely, correct in just the points of being comfortable with being vulnerable. And I agree with everything you're saying. I just want to add that I think that where there's a large number of us, Black men, that are learning these new things, like we're saying, right? So not everybody's doing it in a cool way.
Right.
With anything new, there's goofy ways that things are gonna get done, and then there's some people who do it like, all right, cool, we all
right,
learn.
I can get
like,
behind it.
Like, all right, cool, that's a jiggy way. So as we're learning, there's goofy areas in our tribe. And I think the goofy areas get judged for style critique. We that culture that judge everything to where you're not getting the courtesy or the grace. You're not given the grace of, they still learning. Like, you know what I mean? They're still learning, right? So because we are men, we must always understand. We must always recognize, understand, digest, and become men in all areas and lead in the areas that we see differ instead of looking at it judgmentally when we approach. And if it's abrasive and a person responds in a certain manner, even though we're right and our intent was good, it's like, as men, we got to recognize our power in every space as a man, accept all the responsibilities of being a man. Just because we're learning to be vulnerable doesn't mean the world owes us grace.
Right. Wow.
Doesn't mean the world owes us to be patient with us because now we're learning to be vulnerable.
Wow. You hit the
feel
nail
me?
on the head.
Like, we got to be mindful of that as men, because as men, give you an example with a woman. You'll get in the car with a woman will get in the car with you, right? And sit, passenger, and act like she don't know where she want to go, what she want to do. Not because she an airhead, not because she done lost her mind, but because she's so comfortable in the space that you created. She got her brain is in her pocket. She don't even worry about it when she with you. She just follow your lead. So we got to understand in many areas in our life, it requires us to lead, but because we're learning how to be vulnerable, we might have some bitch assness involved in the mix, some of us.
Oh, you hit the, oh my God.
It may be a turnoff to her right now because it's new for her identifying it too. And again, if you want your sassy with your shit and all of this, that's offensive to her because she know you for G shit. She don't know that part of you.
Right.
So
and
right
that
now
part
you
only come out with Mom Dukes.
You being a
And
band.
you don't even know it.
You being a band. If we keeping it offended, you being a band. Because in this area, and you gotta identify it first, recognize it, identify it, understand it in order to fix it. You can't just be in denial and deflecting like, yo, geez, it's something ain't right in your vulnerability expression, gang. Right. You just gotta tweak it and fix it, and you know.
So that brings me to my next point, and it's very poignant.
That's a complex topic.
That's a complex topic, but you want to know why it's so complex? It's because we've withheld vocabulary and verbiage for specific situations. It's okay to be a bitch ass nigga sometimes. There's a lot of bitch ass shit that happens behind the scenes that niggas just don't know about. And they act like it's cool. The problem is we've had very similar upbringings. And a lot of young men have not, a lot of men, period, especially for the past 40, 50 years, we haven't had a lot of understanding how to deal with our emotions while still showing up, right? So in what he was saying about understanding how to be vulnerable, you can't express your emotions just how you learned and saw them. You have to implement some of the information and at least a little bit more information that takes some legwork. And a lot of the time we don't do the legwork just because we think we're communicating don't mean it's working. So if your communication ain't working, I'm pretty sure it's how you're doing it. And if you don't want to change how you are, you have to understand how you are and then move with those people. But what I'm understanding, even when you may slip and do some bitch ass nigga shit, it's up to you to be vulnerable with yourself and be okay with the fact that you didn't know how to do it any differently. Yeah. You may not have known how to not be a bitch ass nigga, but hey, today we may be able to help you guys learn. Because not even too long ago, in my relationship as a person that I was single, I knew what I wanted. I wasn't out here trying to just make a chick my girl just to fuck on her frequently. Like, I ain't never really need to do that. But outside of that, I also valued who I dealt with. My process with my people is different. So if I fuck with you, I fuck with you. Even if I fucked you or X, Y, and Z. I literally was just having this conversation. I might have just really broken the friends with benefits. Y'all out here having sex with people y'all don't like. So when you stop having sex with them, of course, we know because you only contact them sparingly and in only certain situations. But for me and my people, I tend to deal with my people on all levels. I understand you. So therefore I'm using discernment and I'm creating boundaries when my life situation changes. But if we still cool, we still cool. It ain't beef automatically. And this goes to another conversation we was having off camera. But Tom Ray, you want to say something?
I just wanted to share this, man. Just understanding the significance behind our discussion right now. You know how they say there's no book for parenting.
Right.
There's no book for men on learning how to be vulnerable. But there are agendas. There's
expectations
and all of the above on how we should be, but there is no guide, there's no pamphlet out there to teach us how to, hey buddy, you have a heart too.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? You got emotions too. But we would, for years, generation behind generation, I guarantee, go and speak to any one of our brothers. They would tell you that their father didn't know how to express themselves.
Right.
That father didn't know how to express themselves. So it's just like the kindness, getting back to the kindness, getting back to like our brothers, and regardless if it's tough love or agape love or organic love, whatever kind of love we want to call it, the brothers need love, man.
Right.
To me, that's the missing factor, because that's a huge missing factor, because when we look at what our brothers are dealing with, from whatever community they coming from, the nucleus or the foundation of their issue, I guarantee it is that the absence of love. Can guarantee it.
Honestly, to add to that, you have a lot of people in our community, not just black men, that have severe foundational things that are missing. Lack of love and discernment and understanding from both our men and our women. But the problem is, our men, I feel, we do lead. We lead the trend. And if we can't be the knight in shining armor, even when we have a chink, you get what I'm saying? That don't mean your armor gone. It's a funny world we live in, especially social media wise. We have a lot of fallacies being pumped as though this is real life. You know what I mean? People put their best out there. But everything they dealing with, when they not posting for 5 months, when they even deleting the pictures of the old bodies. You can't do that in real life. You can't run from yourself in real life.
It's real.
You can archive, you can do all of that shit on social media. But in real life, the more you keep suppressing, hiding, acting like, the more this shit is gonna become difficult. And I'm talking specifically to our communities at this point.
Yo,
before you say, I just want to say this, it jokingly, but it's so sincere. Last night I was thinking about it, where society has gotten to a point where they're comfortable with taking selfies, but won't look in the mirror.
You got people that dead ass walk past the mirror because you could tell by how they came outside.
They're comfortable with taking a selfie.
Mm-hmm. Huh? Yeah.
But
it's the disconnect.
But yeah.
Huge one.
Yeah.
That was a bar too.
Right.
I was just going to say, going back to the earliness of where we are as a culture with this whole new realization, you know, of mental health being a thing, like a real thing, and then accepting it after we realize, you know, what it meant.
Right.
So we also gotta continue to include the fact that it's new. So like everybody don't learn. Remember, we seen the memes and stuff. It's like if this was school, we all would have the same classes. We all would be in the
That's
same
a
grade.
fact.
Like,
100%
true.
but on social media, we all together. Like you feel me? So again, like this wasn't a requirement of why we rock with each other.
Right.
Over here, like, but now on social media, the clout and all of this is a combination of why we rock with each other. If you got more clout, you got these numbers, you got this, all of this is, it's like taking consideration is still new for a lot of our people. So even with mental health, the clout and everything that comes from social media that you own 80% of your life, you don't feel like nothing wrong. These things that people talk about as mental health, you don't see them as an issue until you start to see memes that hit home when you're by yourself and you're taking the shit. When they hit to the heart, it got you thinking. You see something on social media that be like, that's really you. Like, you feel me? A meme go down and you know deep inside that's you. Like, you feel me?
Facts.
All of that changes when you start talking about mental health and people talking about their problems. It's like now they done found a new way to mask it and become a superhero off of their looks or their ability to do this very well, dress, make music, whatever it is. So it's like you talking mental health now, where it's like we skip that stage. So now as a culture that we're learning it, you're gonna find people who skip the stage of looking in the mirror before they take a selfie. They skip that. But selfies was lit.
Right.
The self-reflection never became lit, so they didn't know about it. You feel me? It never became lit.
Right. Right.
You feel me? So it's like, nah, it's skipped. They never caught that. So we gotta also take that in consideration again when we dealing with us, because I don't see my man Chris and them, he never cut off his homie Brian and Kev, and I've been knowing them since the Sandbox, and they from Eastchester, and he never cut his man off. His man even caught Bops in college off of one of his joints. He ain't cut him off. You know, people would have died from where we from over joints. Not even your main shorty. That wasn't even your man. That's just a joint. You know how many people have died over. Homie, you got these females. You know what I mean? It's like we've seen it in our culture. So I just think we got to continue to just keep that in mind. Like, bro, everybody learning different, and you feel me? As you start talking about mental health, my point being, as a culture, do we create a safe space for people to be comfortable enough to be honest? Like, where in our culture do we create safe spaces? If it ain't in your household, now that we learning this a thing, now we're able to implement it in our families, right? And our relationships and things, but it's still new even for a lot of us. It's new.
Still learning stuff.
You know? So where's that safe space created for that person? Like, you feel me? Even for yourself. Like, where's a safe space for you to where you can just be your most vulnerable, be honest with yourself or whatever it takes, you know? So then imagine how many other people in our lives aren't even there yet, let alone making these steps, you know? When we judge and look at it in a different way. I just want to say that, you know?
It's interesting that you say that, because a lot of the time, like, especially with what I just recently picked up, being in this space and actually making it a focus, it's an understanding that, like, a lot of the things that we afford others, we have to have readily available for ourselves. We can't give grace, is what I feel like you were alluding to, because in all reality, we can keep it to the back of our minds, you know? But if people don't know how to exercise giving grace, especially to themselves, they can't give it to anyone else. So yes, this is a new space and we're still learning, but in order for us to actually be able to retain and learn these lessons, we have to understand where we fall short in the first place. And that's just here to begin with. Because, like, interpersonally, I learned through my relationship. So it was only natural for me to work on how I'm dealing with myself in order to deal with my other people. You feel what I'm saying? But coming on this journey and figuring out mental health, it's like this interesting conundrum that is very simple. Anyway, I feel like we kind of sell ourselves short in just saying, oh damn, we need to do mental health. Like I said, this is a new space and we're still figuring out how to give ourselves grace and especially give others grace.
Yeah.
But with this being a new space, we have to allow those that's actually adamant about figuring it out, figure it out.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people that's spewing different things that are not really essentially functional for oneself, let alone to be teaching other people. And what I'm learning is, especially on this mental health journey, it's like I had to understand that it's mine.
That's big.
So all of these big ass words, no matter what, vulnerability, grace, all of these things, you have to research. You have to do that and figure it out for you. Because only then you'll be able to implement it in your situation. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody has things in their pressure cooker that allows them to deal with situations differently. Yeah, we have a lot of generalities that can be tossed around. But individually, we're dealing with things on a level to which no type of conversation with us or all of this is going, even therapy, I feel, is going to be functional and useful, actually useful, until you really break down and resurface how you are and how you deal with your things that have to do with your mental health.
I want to commend my brother Fuge for something that he said earlier in regards to consideration.
Right.
And taking into consideration what people are dealing with, taking into consideration their environment, their habitat, all of the above, because, and I say this honestly and transparently because my brother, I had to, prior to Christmas, you know, my brother, he finished serving 20 years of prison, right? And that alone will eat at your mental.
Right.
Without a doubt, you know? And my brother had 17 years on him. So it was certain things where, like, I acknowledge within myself that, you know, God has given my brother another leaf. But my brother hasn't realized that. You feel what I'm saying? So I had to take that into consideration. I had to take it into consideration with grace. And I had to understand that my brother, he went into prison at the age of 30, served 20 years, right? So he got out 20 years later, 50 plus years old. And I had to think to myself, speaking with my uncle, that take into consideration that your brother didn't experience adulthood in any kind of like normal society.
Right.
It's confined. I had to reapproach the situation where I was getting a little frustrated with my brother because he was coming at me in different areas where I'm just like, yo, listen, man, you have to get it together, you know? And rightfully so. Just
right.
being transparent, rightfully so. But what I had to do was I had to obtain a whole nother level of humility where, yo, God won't condemn us in any areas of our life.
So who are you to be
condemning anyone?
Who am I to condemn or not take into consideration?
And put a time frame on it, like, yo, you need to get it together. It's like,
right.
You don't think I know that? Like,
Like, I'm trying, dog. Like,
you feel what I'm saying? So just
and like you had a 20-year head start, like for me.
On top of that,
to tell me that it's like, yo, bro, you know what I mean? But we do that unknowingly in our love card. Like, yo, that's how we love you. We care so much, looking out for you, because that's how I love you. You family, you big bro. You feel me? Like, all right, that's like he said, that's his big bro. So it's like you just trying to love. I get it, 100%. I get it.
Yeah, it's and that just it's a whole lot of when we begin to embrace the concept of mental health, we have to really take into consideration so much, man.
That's why I said to
So much.
Piggyback off of, it's so important to have those spaces because fellowshipping, okay? Like, that's how gangs, that's how Girl Scouts, that's how all of that runs off of fellowshipping. So it's no different, whether it was a gang or a Girl Scout. Fellowshipping is the key ingredient that they all cook up. You feel me? It's like church. So you gotta have safe space, I believe. In order to introduce the hood, yeah, it's easy for people to say like, oh, you can Google it.
right?
Bro, that's not lit, bro. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, like we talk about this, we talk about the section, like we talk about the section in the world that it being lit is a main essential definition of everything. Like, is it lit? Like, I don't care what we talking about. Like,
if litness is
feel
not
me? Like,
involved,
then
I
it's
don't think
lit.
I'm there.
You feel me? That just comes with being from the hood. Like, you feel me? It's like, yo, if it's lit or not. I don't care if Mom Dukes call you and tell you she going to your aunt house and they got dinner. Is it lit? Like, what's like? Talk to me, Mom. Like what's over there before I can even determine if I want to play.
That's why I was saying,
if it's lit, it's
not
a
to cut
major
you off.
ingredient.
Look,
like,
that's why I was saying what I was saying. We have to allow those that actually take this mental health issue, like, seriously, especially for not only themselves but on a larger scale. You got people that you could just talk to in your family, probably, that you've been casting off and probably judging just because they on some new ish that you ain't really privy to.
But you know, you gotta approach that right, bro. Because people don't know how to talk. Like,
we understand that.
People don't know how to talk to people. It's love, but they don't know how to say it. Like,
right.
Love. Like,
and look, coming from, and I'm pretty sure we all got it. We are struggling and dealing with the same things in our communities, and that's why I'm here with this. Because I understand it's not only a black man issue, but I can only speak from a black man's place.
Yeah.
And what I've dealt with, especially within my community, especially rubbing elbows with so many people within my communities and how this podcast has transcended so many other things, I'm noticing like, bro, we got to take the lesson as it comes. We can't sit here and make sure it's lit. We can't make sure it's fitting all these weird little pockets that we're used to make it palatable. Because not every learning experience is palatable, bro. And right now, it's not going to be cool. It's not going to look cool to be sitting around in a room that don't got liquor involved and y'all talking about y'all feelings. But at the end of the day, nigga, that's what needs to go down. Yeah, you could do that shit after the fact. It's understanding priorities and compartmentalizing. We've been compartmentalizing the wrong things. We've been putting ourselves away while making other things a piece of us. But we have to understand, man, we losing ourselves mentally by doing all of this, accumulating, trying to make people see what you are instead of you just figuring it out and just putting that out there. No matter who the fuck it is, they gonna fuck with it. But mentally, we just gotta figure out how to do something a lot differently. So for me, I wanted to ask you guys, we're talking vulnerability, we're talking grace, we're talking consideration. I'm understanding that you guys are implementing, but how do you find the time?
it has to be.
And when you do slip, how do you pick back up?
All right. Finding the time to implement like key ingredients of just building, people building, kindness, compassion, empathy, all of those new things you learn. As you learn them, I believe one of the best remedies that I myself practice is immediate implementation.
Yeah.
Put it into work immediately.
Yeah.
It has to be prioritized, just like washing our eyes, brushing your teeth, or anything else. It has
Niggas
to
ain't even
become,
prioritizing that work.
Retarded, dog.
Yo, I mean,
nigga,
but you know
that shit is mental too. Word.
Yeah,
Take
it
care of
is.
yourself.
It is hygiene too.
Hygiene.
Big time.
But yeah, putting it in place immediately because it's like we don't got the luxury of hoping. See, another thing that I would say goes on that list of things we just gotta accept about being a man. Just like as women, they gotta accept the courtesy that life will give you because you're a woman. So it's like, no, it don't have to be as whatever.
Right.
And it's like, no, they're not weaker or lesser than, but still, it's a courtesy, right?
Right.
There's also a courtesy that we're expected to be great. We're expected to be the leader. We're expected to be, right? I think we got to learn to have more appreciation for that. Like, damn, bro, just off the fact that I'm a man, I'm expected to be great. That's fire. Like,
OD fire.
Like, that's fire. You think that highly of me, like, no matter what. Now, I'm already a head start because you put me on to something that I ain't even seeing myself in this area, perhaps. Like, you feel me?
Ooh.
And accepting that's a part of being a man, accepting that certain things we gotta do as a man, we gotta toughen up in certain areas.
Yeah, you just.
So even when we learning these new things of being vulnerable and all of that, it's like, yeah, bro, having a way that we do it also with grace of being a man also, accepting, like, you know what I mean? There's
art.
Yes, it's an art. Great, thank you.
Art.
It's an art to it, and have it also why. So as we're learning it, right? Why? Because we're also setting a tone. Because if we're the first ones learning this, right, the new generation learning this and this thing, we also setting the tone for our OGs, for our old heads, Unc and them. Right. We get to build with because we hug them when we give them a pound, and their generation came from doing this. Like, you feel me? Doing this all day. Like, we bring it in.
Right.
Like, you feel me? So we teaching them other vulnerable, you know, areas and all of that. You feel me? And my old heads and them, I be goofing with them. So I might grab my old head and, you know what I mean, shake them up and, you feel me, and all of that. You feel me? Just because now you my young boy. But now you my young boy, like you used to do me when I was a kid. Like, you feel me? So it's like, it's still like my OGs, even I still call them, you know what I mean, Unc, and like, I don't call you by your name. That's never gonna change when I'm on this earth. Like, you feel me? Because that ain't how I'm raised. Auntie and them still auntie and them forever. I don't call you by your first name, like never. I don't care how old I get with my own kids and all of that. I don't change. You shitting me? Like, so it's certain vulnerable spaces that we are in, but realizing it that here with the G's, like, you feel me, having those spaces, and no, it shouldn't take vices to make those spaces cozy. But if that's a start,
it's a start.
I'm one of those people that's like, yo, meet them where they are, bro. And it's like, in order to have that, because now the next generation behind us and the next generation behind them, they'll know that it's okay to express yourself, but also don't be in your sass bag. You sassy with it, gang. Like, I get you tight, you frustrated, you this. It's like, you can't cry about everything. You whining about everything. What happened to those rules? Even because we got grown, it's still dudes whining. It's still people say, you whining about it. It's like, okay, this come with the art of it. I know we've been learning to be, you know,
there's a way to express yourself.
It's all the way around the board, bro.
But what I have learned through even listening to you guys speak right now, especially on the tip of like understanding how to move as men, even whether we're dealing with the older generation or younger generations, or even in your relationships, I'm realizing, like, even with the sassiness, we have a lot of things that are untapped that we have to deal with, not only as a community, but as young Black men coming up and Black men that are already out here. You feel what I'm saying? There's a large disconnect between not only expressing your emotions, but understanding how you're expressing your emotions is causing a detriment to what either you're trying to build or what you want to build. And it started especially with this business entrepreneur-ish, with this everybody want to be married now, but acting like they don't. You have to actually do the work on yourself in order to deal with another person. And when you start dealing with these inner workings and other people's emotions and things like that, nerves can be triggered that you didn't even know you had because you're able to just cut and walk away. And shit, I was doing that for 10 plus years. I was single. But for me, this relationship made me have to sit with emotions that I ain't never had to deal with a chick that would be doing certain things because I would have just walked out. Like, what you mean? Now, these emotions that I had to understand or even catch, me acting like a little bitch ass nigga or whatever the case may be, because we're emulating things that we've learned. We didn't see a lot of men express themselves, especially in disappointment. So when we see a lot of things and we learn from those things, we tend to mimic those things. And a lot of the things that we are mimicking within our communities, one is severely to our mental health spaces that we're allotted, but also the fact that we don't really deal with our ish. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't really sit here and be like, yo, this was crazy. You made me feel X, Y, and Z. They'll really just be like, all right, I'm going to just dip. Passive aggression, whatever the case may be. And for me, as an expressive, it's like, yo, I can't sit here and hold things in and this, that, and the third, because for me, understanding my mental health, I don't work off that. I don't operate off that. And I feel like more people should employ to work through their relationships rather than cutting them off so frequently and so easily. Because you might be missing an integral part of your mental health that could be fostered between either this passage of time or actually speaking with or breaking down those issues that you're having with said individual or person.
I want to share this, man. First and foremost, I applaud y'all, man.
I applaud you too. That's why I brought y'all here, B.
Thank you for your time, and it's so good to see my brother. One of the words that you shared several times, which is key to this discussion, is expression. And us us aligning with therapeutic outlets where we can express ourselves as men. You know what I'm saying? And it's majority of the time, what I'm learning is that we have to create those spaces. Right. So I'm saying we have to really get back to that building clubhouses, you know what I mean? Out of cardboard box and stuff like that. But regardless of the fact, man, it's finding therapeutic outlets to express ourselves. Healthy therapeutic outlets to express ourselves. And it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of the mental health crisis that we deal with in life, it stems from us holding a lot of what we're thinking about inside. And we have to, and I salute y'all brothers, man, sincerely, because you're taking the time to create a platform to show, to broadcast or promote the significance of expressing yourself. And then secondly, my brother Fuge, he's been dedicated for years to giving artists platforms to express themselves. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, that's the key in itself, man. Like, whether, I remember when my first journey, I remember the beginning of my journey when folks became privy to me being a poet. Right. And used to always say, yo, so you write those roses is red and violets is blue. Right. Stuff like that. And I'm like, nah, it's I never wrote a poem like that, you know, but poetry. I just word to my mother. I never wrote a poem like that, but I do.
Ask you that word. That's all.
And I do know, and it's that's the stigma. You feel what I'm saying? But I do know that when I discovered the gift that I'm a poet, that I love writing, I discovered a therapeutic outlet. And writing is the outlet.
Right.
But that's another concept.
I'm about to say, you just led me to something not only with your first point, but also with this that you just said.
Yeah, that's a whole nother concept because there's many, and I'm here to help, but there's many brothers that don't know how to write.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
That's fundamentally, that's foundational.
Yeah.
And for us, what we're talking about is foundational.
Yeah.
We're talking about how to create a different movement.
Wow.
Not just
roses is raisins.
You are crazy with that one. Look, not even just a space.
Disrespectful, they do that. But
they know the type of person you are.
Those are the first.
But those are the only poems people really know for real.
I ain't gonna hold you though. Those are legendary poems.
Yes, they are.
You remember them still, like
Cat in the Hat joints and all that.
That's legendary.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I get it.
Yeah.
I just think, fellas, you know, just to remind us that these things were never, ever accepted. Like, you feel me? It just wasn't a part of being a man. This wasn't what they looked at, you know. The generations before us, our parents, even before them, men being vulnerable and having these traits or even the willingness to sit around and talk about their feelings was unheard of. This was looked down upon, you feel me, in our culture for years, way before we ever existed. So again, I just, you know, want to just remind us because we, in a short amount of time that this has been a thing, awareness, we've really gained a lot of yards in the field, gang. Like we really have agriculture, you feel me, where it's like, when you think about it, we sitting here talking about it, and it's like, not no podcast asking, but it's like we sitting here talking about this. So it's a thing now. I just think that with that, we can't expect perfection.
No.
And I know you may disagree. I love it because we ain't yes men it. But the main ingredient why I truly believe, and I got facts and stats to prove it ain't my opinion.
Right.
When it's lit, it's effective because that's the core ingredient of everything in our life. Yeah, you feel me? So it's like, it's one of those things where that's why mama and them put cheese on the broccoli, because it's like they had to put a little flavor to it to try and make it a little different and digestible. You feel me?
Right.
Those are the things that's required with everything. It's like these safe spaces have to be safe spaces where people feel like, you know, they can go there and unload whatever they've been experiencing without judgment, without anything, and be able to feel like somebody got them. Like before this, what we had in the hood, like the programs people used to go to, like where you can go to the program if you're going through whatever you're going through in life, whether it's a drug program, whatever it is isolation with a group of people going through the same thing. That's needed for mental health, like, you know what I mean? It's that's needed. Like you just
led me
safe spaces, like, you know.
You just led me to the perfect segue, just because not only is that what my aim is, now that I'm understanding of, well, I'm clearer on the journey of the mission of what I should be doing. You know what I mean? I've always been able to get people together, whether it's been to fuck around and throw a house party that's gonna get us possibly locked up, or, you know, we taking a road trip, or we going here. My thing is taking my skills that I have used throughout the years and actually implementing them in different ways. And like I've learned from you through what you just said, you express yourself through your writing. that's how you found your outlet. For me, I found out my outlet has always been and will always be my social circle. How I converse, how I deal, how many people I deal with, you know what I mean? And things of that nature. Too, though. It changes. And for me now, what I'm realizing is I like more intimate settings. I don't need to be around 50, 40,000 people. I'm good. Just give me a good 20 and a couple drinks, a couple games, and we good. You know what I mean? And for me, I would love to continue this conversation and build on it and make this more of a like town hall type meeting.
Open
you
forum.
Feel what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh, you got a grievance? What's up? Let's talk it out.
Open forum.
Let's see what's up. Let's see if we could come up with, you know, some sort of solution that could actually fit in the space versus just feeling like, oh, this may work, but it don't fit this, or this one little piece may work, but it don't fit this. You get what I'm saying?
I want to just share this, man, and I'm done, my brother. But I know, I understand that we're in the age of information, which we hear all the time, and there's a lack of information out there when it comes to mental health for whether it's men or women, you feel what I'm saying? So This is why your platform is that healthy, man, because being in the age of information and we don't have much information, a void needs to be filled, right? If that makes sense, you feel what I'm saying? So you're doing a great justice, and I'm always here. I'm always here.
I appreciate
phone call away, bro.
I appreciate that, and that's why I brought you on, because you were probably one of the only other people in this space, you get what I'm saying, in the mental health, self-improvement, self-care, all of these things, family, you know, and you as well, like it's a different thing when you guys are already there and we get to just form together like Megatron, you feel what I'm saying, and knock out something that I feel like is something that we've kind of, not saying we passed the buck on it necessarily, but it's a very big place that we could have filled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, I feel like for some time, it's just been waiting for someone to make it make sense. And right now, I guess I'm looking at it like, okay, I like running my mouth. I like discussing and finding problems, solutions, because I don't like sitting and stewing. And a lot of things that I had to understand about myself is that I'm naturally stoic. I don't really get too high, I don't get too low. I express, and that's it. Yeah, I'm real loud, I'm rambunctious. I came from a family full of characters. But for me, you can count on one hand how many times you've ever seen me upset. You could count on one hand how many times you've seen Nairo over the top excited. It's just not like that. But I do understand that in this new age, and understanding how we want to be and how we like to show up as men, it's really pertinent for us to understand and define that shit for ourselves. And in doing that, you gotta really do that work. Nobody else gonna do it for you. Yeah, you can get the information, you can get all the therapists in the world, but until you actually understand that it starts with you, mental health is just gonna be something that's discussed and not actually worked on. And like I said, I appreciate you guys for pulling up. If you guys like to plug yourselves in the can, tell everybody where to find you. Tom Ray, tell your book.
Oh man,
I know you had a nice large reprint I just saw.
Yeah, I have a you was about to say, Fish?
I just want to say, like, there's been several outlandish pauses.
He's doing so much,
like,
we was trying to be mature.
I know, I'm just saying, because we gotta maturely acknowledge the pauses.
We gotta really maturely say
acknowledge the pauses, because it's the title is already Ayo-ish, right?
Right.
For you to be like, yo, I want to plug you on the camera. It's like, yo, bro,
crazy.
Whoa, listen.
Now, y'all read. Like, if I said no, I'm becoming niggas would have been fine.
No, listen,
but now, because we talk about mental health, niggas a little sensitive.
No, look, I tried to, like, you feel me? Like relax and be respectful. I just want us to acknowledge that, you know, like that was
hey yo.
bad business. Like, you feel me?
He said, hey yo. Word.
It's definitely not me.
I was about to say, I don't even got a ring. It's one of y'all holding.
None of my
Right.
None of my phone.
It is me. I apologize. I apologize. I ain't even know.
This was a deep dive.
Yeah.
Talk your ish. Tune in. We got some more segments to where I'm doing a deeper investigation and more succinct conversation about a lot of topics that I've not only graced, but I maybe have mentioned and didn't even get to really go into. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me this far.
Right.
If you're new, like, comment, and subscribe. It's been your boy, and we out of here. Deuces. Too hard.
Peace and love, y'all.
Head grease.